What's up, everybody? Today we're going to be cleaning a Koolaire ice machine. Unfortunately, I have my Hashizaki hat on, but we're going to be cleaning this Koolaire ice machine right behind me, sitting on top of this Manitowoc ice dispenser. We're just going to start by taking off all these panels. Obviously, a couple screws here, top panel come off. We're going to take off both side panels just to get access. This particular machine has this ice deflector here. And as you can see, my water curtain's being held open by some ice. I'm gonna try to clear it out of there, get this thing to turn on. I might need to put a glove on and break that away, but I'm gonna need to turn this off as well. I'm gonna remove this. Now that we've got this thing all the way open, machine is in the off position. As you can see, this is actually really clean. We're out here about every 3 months servicing this. While you're doing your cleaning, be careful, this is all hot, it's all electrified, so don't touch anything, but you should kind of look around in there, make sure there's no burnt wires or anything that looks out of place. We're gonna click this thing over to wash. It's gonna start dumping water. It's gonna last about 45 seconds, and then it's gonna fill up with water. And then at that point in time, we're gonna add our chemicals. We're gonna add our chemicals directly in between the water curtain and the evaporator. I'm going to be using Manitowoc Ice Machine Descaler. I'm gonna fill this up with about 3 ounces. I do recommend that you use gloves because this stuff does not feel good when it gets on your skin. Also wear safety glasses. Just protect yourself. Now this clean process is gonna last about 15 minutes. If you're unsure about all the exact procedures, you can reference the inside of the front panel. It has step-by-step cleaning instructions right down here, as well as some information about proper operation and how to adjust your ice thickness. I forgot to note that I actually have my dispenser unplugged and I'm covering my ice with a plastic bag to keep any splash from getting into the ice. Also, in preparation for disassembling this area. During a normal service, I'd also change these water filters, but this one's actually not due to be changed until 29 February of 2025, so we're not gonna actually change this filter. We are, however, going to remove this guy. There's a couple of screws here that need to get loosened up. That way we can blow out the condenser. Once these 2 screws are loosened up, you can just lift the air diverter off, set it down. If you have one installed, you can remove the pre-filter to wash that off in the sink. Luckily, it's not very dirty or dusty in this particular location, but we're going to brush and blow these fins out. Just make sure your brush is going up and down, and then use some compressed air. A couple other things we're gonna do later on. There's a blue condensate pump down there. We're gonna open that up, make sure there's not anything growing inside of it. And we're gonna take off the front panel of the dispenser, and we're gonna clean out the spill tray. I'm going to be using one of these condenser brushes. I actually cut the handle off. One of my other jobs was kind of a tight fit, so I needed extra room. So you're just gonna take your brush it up and down. Like I said, this one is really clean, so you're not gonna actually see any dust flying off, but I'm gonna go through the motions anyways just to make sure. I'm gonna be using a bottle of compressed nitrogen as my air source. If you don't have access to this, you can use an air compressor or one of those little, I don't know what they're called. They're like computer dusters. One of those will work just fine, but essentially you're just gonna blow that out. I'm not gonna let this go full bore while recording, but you get the picture. Your pre-filter usually just needs to be washed off in the sink. Nothing special about it. If you have a lot of grease buildup or something like that, you can use some dish detergent to wash it off. And when you're done cleaning it, you can just put it back the way you took it apart. So I was gonna take off the front panel of the dispenser, but it's actually kind of a pain to do, so I don't wanna do it today. This screw and this screw come out. this comes out, and then you kind of lift it up. The front pops forward, and then there's two hinges on the bottom that lift up, and then you just kind of like shimmy it out of place. But I'm just gonna use this and look down inside here. Doesn't look like there's anything inside there that I need to open this up for. Sometimes there's, you know, lemon peels and bottle caps, but looks clean today, so I'm not gonna take it off. Here's a better look at the condensation pump that we're using as a drain for both the ice machine and the dispenser. Hopefully whoever installed this left you enough room with your PVC lines to get it out. If not, talk to them about it, but I'm gonna need to use both hands to do this, and I'll show you what it looks like when I pull it out. Here's what we look like all opened up. There's something shiny floating in there. I'm just gonna take this to the sink, rinse it out, wipe this off with a rag, get anything that looks like it's growing wiped out of there, and then put this all back together. Super easy, all wiped out, all wiped off, and now I'm just gonna shove it back into place. Just like that, we are back in place, and if you were wondering, that is the plug for the dispenser. Now that we've checked our water filter, cleaned our condenser, checked our ice catch, took care of our condensate pump, now we're going to go ahead and start disassembling this machine. This can be kind of a pain to do sometime. The idea is pull here, push in there to kind of flex this out, and it comes out of place just like that. Let's see if I can give you a better shot. See if I can do it from this side, just kind of just like that. And then these things are probably more than finger tight. We're gonna take those out. Used a wrench and I loosened up these thumb screws, and once they're loose, you can just take them out by hand. And that's all that is. Send them off to the side, and then take out this one. And then this comes out. And then this one comes out as well. The water trough comes out. You can use two hands and cross them, do them at the same time, or you can do them one at a time. Just loosen up the tab, and that will come forward and come out of there. And try not to drop it. The water diverter has a 3/8 nut driver, assuming it's 3/8 finger screw, but if you loosen it up with a 3/8 nut driver first, you can then get it out. Otherwise, depending on who put it together last, it can be really difficult. And that comes out. Now, normally I would pull both of these out and the water pump, but today I'm just gonna spray everything with ice machine sanitizer and then give it a good wipe down with a clean rag. The only thing that's really important to know is the plugs on the other side, whether you would just grab these and pull them straight down and then pop them back up like that. And the plugs are right here. So there's a plug right there, and there's a similar one back there, and then the water pump has its own. I'm using Manitowoc ice machine sanitizer in a spray bottle that I picked up from Home Depot. I have about 2 ounces in here. What I'm going to do is simply, okay, somebody messed this up. Simply spray all my surfaces all the way around. Probably just hang that there. And I'm just gonna take a rag. And I'm gonna go through, I'm just gonna wipe everything. And then when I'm done wiping everything, I'll go back and I'll spray it again. I've gone through and wiped everything really well, even down behind the floats and behind the water pump. If your machine was any dirtier than what this machine looked like, you probably should take out the water floats and the water pump. But I'm here so often and this machine is so clean that it's kind of a waste of time. But now I'm gonna spray my surfaces again with ice machine sanitizer. I'm gonna let the sanitizer dry on the surface. It'll leave a protective film that inhibits slime growth. I almost forgot a very important part, which is to inspect your dump valve. Every time you clean your machine, you should turn that, pull this little guy out, make sure there's nothing on there, that this isn't warped or torn or have some type of hole in it, and then you set it back down inside there the right way. Make sure it's pushed down into place. There is a little white washer that goes in there. Make sure that's where it's supposed to be. And then that goes on there and it clips into place. You can also look at this hose. If it's dirty, like it seems like this one is, we'll go ahead and pull this out and take that to the sink to clean it. Depending on what your machine looks like, you may want to run a brush. So if you take the water pump out, you may want to run a brush up that white tube there, and it'll come out that hole, and that cleans out that water line, and then you just spray some water inside there and it'll flush it out. If that line's dirty, you would want to take off the dump valve with these two, and then take off this finger clamp back here, pull the dump valve off, and you can stick a brush into that pipe. But because the machine's so clean, we're not gonna go through all that. And the type of brush that I'm talking about is a brush just like this. You're gonna shove it right down into the tube and just feed it all the way in there. And then when you pull it out, be careful that it doesn't fling crap all over you. But it should look a little something like that. A little booger. Now we're moving on to parts cleaning. Essentially what you're gonna do is just take all your parts to the sink, use a scrub pad, scrub all the stuff off of it, and then use that same bottle of sanitizer, spray all your parts with sanitizer, throw them back in the machine, and you're good to go. All of the parts have been cleaned and sanitized. We're gonna go ahead and put them back in one at a time. Don't forget to give them a little bit of a snug so they don't rattle loose. And this one should be snugged up as well with a 3/8 inch nut driver. Otherwise that one will rattle loose, and then this will fall into the water trough and then possibly block up one of your water floats right here, and then the machine won't work right. So water trough, it goes in just like that. Make sure the back of it clears the floats and the water pump, and then it just snaps into place. Water curtain, put one side on, and then it's so much easier to do it with two hands, but essentially you're just gonna flex it, pop it into place, make sure it freely swings, and then I'm gonna pull this garbage bag out of there. Actually, before I pull the bag out, I'm gonna run it through a clean cycle again to kind of rinse out some of the extra sanitizer that might be built up at the bottom of the water tray. And then I'm gonna pull out that bag, throw this thing into ice mode, start putting all of my panels back on. And just like that, we are done with this Koolaire ice machine cleaning. It's actually more of a 6-month preventative maintenance. We did the condenser, the water filter, the condensation pump, the dispenser, the ice dispenser. Check out the links in the description for cleaners and sanitizers, and we'll see you on the next video.